How's it going, guys? This is Mouseball, and this is the AttackMouse Nation and my salty gearheads. Welcome to Motoring with Mouseball. And guys, we're back at Fuel Fed Fort Lauderdale for the European Classic Car Show. And right here we have this Lotus Elise that is just clapped out to the nines.
It's exige S260 Sport.
And here's the owner, just in time to get on camera and explain to us what he's done to the car and how much of this is actually stock and how much of this is actually stuff you've done to it.
What you see cosmetic, except for the air diffuser and the side view mirrors, is completely stock. This is the last of the 30 2010 exige S260 Sports made in the US. Only other exterior modification is the fire suppression system and the kill switch, which is right behind the driver's side seat. This car has been cupped. It actually won a few Lotus Cup series, so it's fully race ready. Not that they weren't from the factory to begin with. But.
No, exactly. I mean, my friend owned an Elise and we named it Munchkin, and me and him got into a 4-hour fight when he found out that the frame rail was ripped. And basically he was like, oh, I just want to get rid of the car. And I'm like, dude, we can weld that frame back together. It'll be just fine. And I mean, I loved that car.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was a base Elise. It wasn't even anything like this. This is just an absolute monster.
Yeah, so Lotus Factory went ahead and took the Elise and created the exige. The ram air induction on the roof line, which is a target top, so it can still be removed and still be functional ram air induction. This is a 1.6 liter supercharged. From the factory, they were putting a little less than 300 wheel horsepower, or sorry, 260 wheel horsepower. This is probably a little closer to 400 at this point.
Yeah, might as well be 300 with the power to weight, but the thing is that with 400, I mean, obviously it's 445 or more again when you factor in power to weight.
Yeah.
And
this is about a 2,000 pound car.
So is the chassis still aluminum as far as the underpinnings, or is it a monocoque carbon fiber?
So this is actually a bonded aluminum. Lotus had a really special epoxy when they came out with these cars. I believe it's the only car of its kind that uses this epoxy for the entire chassis. Some other supercars since then have used bonded aluminum for certain parts.
Well, like Aston Martin has.
Yes.
They use bonded panels as well. I'm not sure if they use the same epoxy that Lotus uses for their cars, but I'm assuming that most of the Vantages, Vanquishes, you know, DB, you know, 7s, you know, and so on and so forth, DB9s and things like that are bonded. You know, they're all bonded together, which is kind of crazy to think that your whole car is glued together with, you know, industrial strength epoxy. Sorry, just, you know, got tongue-tied there. But I'm going to go ahead and show everybody all the real cool stuff, like right here, this radiator. Now, the radiator is actually flat in the car, which is really unusual, but the airflow is optimized to get the cooling for the radiator. And this whole hood or clamshell right here, which people would call the front bonnet, it's completely open. So, I mean, all of this works. And just like the owner explained, most of it is carbon fiber. I mean, look at the dash. The dash is full dry carbon fiber. This is the real stuff. It's not, you know, just some, you know, vinyl wrap or something crazy. This is the actual real deal. This is 2/2 twill carbon fiber. I mean, everything on the ducts, the seats, the floorboard and the panels got a quick release steering wheel. And look at the size of the heat exchanger in here. And it's ducted, just like he said. It's a removable top, so he can still enjoy the open air experience, but at the same time he's got the heat exchanger that the air ducts right into the roof and right directly into the heat exchanger. Now at first I thought this was turbocharged, but it is supercharged in fact. And right here you got, wow, I've never seen this before. What exactly is the tank in the back? Is that
So since this was a Lotus Cup car and it competed in the Lotus Cup for several years, this is the fire suppression system. So both the engine bay and the cockpit have a full fire suppression system that can be actuated either from the exterior of the car or from the cockpit. This car also has, the entire fuel system has been redone with radium. Got a radium fuel surge tank. It's got Nitron 3-way adjustable shocks. Pretty much anything and everything that could be done to this car has been to some degree.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, you even have ducting right up in here. I mean, what do these ducts do right here
So what
on
you
the
see
east
here,
side?
this is additional ducting into the intercooler.
It comes right into the side of the...
Everything that you see that is aerodynamics is fully functional. So this is originally brake and engine bay ducting.
Okay.
What we did is we ducted a portion of this airflow straight into
The intercooler.
Yeah.
Now, what I find extremely funny about this car is it says maximum allowable mass in luggage compartment is 50 kilograms. Luggage must be secured. Like, I mean, this thing is a total track weapon, and it's still got the ability to carry some luggage. I love the F1 style mirrors. Look, you got two-piece floating hats with AP racing calipers. And I mean, again, there's no need for the full-on 6-piston or overly zealous brake calipers. I mean, this is a very light, very small car, and a 4-piston caliper does the job. You've got slotted rotors. I mean, everything is pretty.
Those APs and rotors, the rotors are upgraded, although they were slotted from the factory. The AP calipers, those wheels, that's all stock. These wheels weigh a little less than 15 pounds a piece. They're 18s. Right now they're on 888Rs, which is a little risky for the street, but just got to drive careful.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know what? I mean, Colin Chapman would be really, really proud of this thing. I mean, again, there's very few cars. I mean, we had a Ford GT 40 that came in, and I thought that was one of the nastiest cars that came in here. When I saw you roll in here with this, I was like, okay, that thing's definitely, a track monster. I mean, are these Toyo? Let me see what. Yeah, okay. These are the R888s, right?
Yep.
These tires are famous for being expensive and for wearing out really fast, but they're extremely, gummy compound. They're super sticky when they get warmed up. I mean, you can take corners at ludicrous speeds. I mean, looks like it's got plenty of downforce. I mean, I've always loved the body lines on this car because it really looks like a small Ferrari or a really small exotic car. And like Colin Chapman always said, you want to have a car that you can wear, that is like a tailored suit. So, unlike some of the Ferraris, unlike some of the Lambos and other exotic cars that have a lot of heft to them, that have a lot of mass to them, and it's like you got to kind of be a more experienced driver and less of a ham fist to handle those cars at the limit. This one is actually kind of user-friendly when it comes down to, full-on track driving. Obviously, with a pro behind this, you're leaving everybody, in the back of the pack, straight or curve.
This car was definitely built to live on the limit. What's interesting about it is, although it fits into the exotic realm, a lot of people don't necessarily recognize it as an exotic, but in reality, they only brought 58 S260 Sports to the US over a 3-year period. In 2009, 2010, and then in 2011, there were only 3, and they were kind of slapped together with leftover parts as Lotus was shutting down the Elise and exige production line. This is the last of the 2010s. So this is the last that every part on here was an exige part. For instance, the 2011s, they didn't have the carbon fiber dashboard anymore, so they just slapped in the stock Elise dashboard. I believe there's 10 black cars floating around out there. The 2009s have a sticker package that says Cup 260 Sport, Lotus, exige, completely identifiable. If I didn't have the vinyl on that windshield, that's how the car came. Completely unidentifiable unless you knew what the car was. The easiest way to tell that you're looking at an S260 Sport is the carbon fiber package. And what Lotus did that was really kind of unique is if you come back here, your camera may not be able to pick it up, but they shifted from aluminum to carbon fiber. So all of this paint is painted onto the carbon fiber, but they actually bonded the aluminum to carbon fiber. And with the naked eye, you can kind of see where the thatching of the carbon fiber shifts.
Yeah, no, there's actually a lot of thatching up in here.
This is all carbon fiber. But for this portion, this back clamshell, this back clam is actually aluminum until about here.
That's crazy. That really is. That's amazing. I mean, this is one of the things that they pointed out on the F40 that was actual quirk about it, was that you could actually see the carbon fiber through the paint, at least the cross hatching of the carbon fiber. And one of the things I love about this car is the fact that it's not trying to be so overzealous about, hey, I have a carbon fiber body. You know, you actually integrated the paint job into the carbon fiber and only showed what you wanted to show with the carbon fiber, which I like more than anything else, because again, you know, if the car knows what it is, it doesn't have to like be, you know, a full carbon fiber body car like a Pagani Zonda R or something like that, to kind of show off that it's super exotic. I love the fact that it's so subtle and that it gets its point across on the track. In other words, you know, the bite is a lot bigger than the bark from this car. So I mean, again, this is how I definitely wanted to start off the video for the subscribers, because I mean, again, you don't often see these cars, and because Lotus, like you said, wasn't really known as a exotic car manufacturer, a lot of people overlook these cars and don't understand just how powerful they are, how great they are with power to weight ratio, how the aerodynamics, you know, are just all thought out in a wind tunnel. And what they don't understand is that, believe it or not, Colin Chapman is solely responsible for everything that happened in F1 when it comes down to aerodynamics, you know, for Formula One going into the modern era. You know, all the wind tunnel testing, the flat bottoms, the Venturis, all the, diffuser fins and everything that you see on modern cars today, and even on some, you know, wannabe racers. You know, those actual things are inspired by Colin Chapman, as that's how he built cars.
Yeah, his underlying core philosophy was add lightness. So any gains that he sought were by removing weight from the vehicles first and foremost, and then trying to figure out additional pathways for, you know, efficiency of not only the power unit but the aerodynamics of the vehicle.
I mean, believe it or not, at the shop right now we do have a Lotus Europa.
Yeah.
And we have a Series 2. It's 1972 Europa. It's got the World Constructors Championship badge on it, and it's yellow. And the thing is that we're restoring the car, and it has a big valve in it. So it has a big valve, I think a Ford Cortina engine in it. It makes about 120 horsepower, but it's lighter than a CRX Honda. And Honda's CRX is the lightest, you know, Honda they make. It's practically a tin can on wheels. So the fact that in 1972, you have a car that, I mean, a person who's physically weak can push on their own and steer it without power steering, which is another thing that I really find really amazing about these cars, is that these cars lack assisted steering. So you don't have hydraulic steering, you don't have electric steering, you don't have any of this stuff to assist your steering. The steering is raw and connected to the road, you know, via linkage and everything else like that. So without a doubt, you would think it would be hard to steer the car, but in actuality, it's not. It's not hard to steer the car whatsoever.
It's very point and shoot, and very much like the Europa. This vehicle borrowed an engine. This is the 1.6 liter from the Toyota Celica GT.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and obviously it's been tricked out by Lotus engineers. And then the addition of the supercharger in this vehicle versus what you'll see in an Elise. But,
well, from what I hear, the Celica engine, or as the British will call it, Celica engine, that particular engine had a Yamaha cylinder head. So it had variable valve timing, and it would be able to rev at least anywhere up from 8,000 to 8,500 RPM. And with my friend's Lotus Elise, I mean, that was the most shredded sound I ever heard. Because when we went down a straight and he was hitting every gear, I was like, this must be why people buy Ferraris and Lambos and everything, because that sounds like right behind your head.
Yep.
And it's a euphoric experience, because every gear, not only do you feel the force of what's pushing you from behind, but the noise is like right there. And I mean, you hear every ding, ding, ding from the rocks because of the aluminum tub under the car. So, I mean, it's definitely an experience for sure. And like I said, I wanted to start my video off with this car
Yeah,
right
I'm gonna
here.
let you get to it. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, and thank you for your time.